The Boy at the Back of the Class. Now, this book is mainly about the refugee crisis. Oh, and a side note, I am sick, so that's why I'm wearing this, and I have the voice change. Give me thanks of getting better. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. The Boy at the Back of the Class. This looks like any other kind of book, right? It's the kind of book where you find out about a kid who's at the back of the class. He's weird, he's doing stuff different, and you're supposed to make him fit in, right? Well, that is essentially what this book is, but it's way more than that. People as young as 7 years old read this book, and they're taught several major themes that are very, very major themes in today's world political issues, such as the refugees crisis and racists, which is probably not as relevant in the start of the book, but they definitely do become relevant at the end of the book. I'll explain that in further detail right now. Now, the boy at the back of the class. Here we get a guy, and then his friends Josie, Michael, and Tom. We are, for some reason, never given his name, or if we are given his name, we never find out what it is. Or I'm just a terrible reader. In the end, though, what really does happen, though, is that there's this new kid in this town. And I'm going to draw him in a different color. His name is apparently Ahmet, and he's kind of weird. He doesn't speak anything, he doesn't go ahead and do anything, he just sits there, talks, listens, and then in recess he doesn't go out to play, he just goes out and goes into this classroom with, apparently I call her a supervisor, but that's probably not the best way to accurately describe it, but it's the only way I can think of it right now. Either way, our protagonist tries to go ahead and friend the guy. And once we go ahead and get friended him, or at least attempted to befriend him, they go ahead and make a closer bond. They go ahead and find out about everything, and then they go ahead and realize that maybe this kid is pretty good. And then we find out that he doesn't really speak English at all. He doesn't speak any English too. We can go ahead and communicate with him with like hand gestures and then like giving him stuff. But until he does learn some kind of common language, or we do learn his language, it won't work out really fine. So, the boy at the back of the class, that's Ahmet. He's a refugee from Syria. And he's going ahead and trying to find his family. His mom is missing, his dad is missing, and his sister is missing. And we have no idea what the heck is happening about him. In fact, we didn't even know if he had a sister at the time, or if he even had a brother, but regardless, that's what he is right now. After we go ahead and look through the book, where they go ahead and try to do things to go ahead and help Ahmet find his family, and help Ahmet go ahead and get used to the English cultural life, let him to be able to assimilate with them into the British culture and language, such as like playing soccer. Oh, sorry, the British call it football, playing football and other stuff. Football makes more sense than soccer, but then again, I would call that British football and American football. Playing football with them, I call it soccer, very sorry. Football with them, and then they go ahead and finally get him to talk about his story. He goes ahead and makes this presentation towards the class, where he tells them that his sister is dead, like, she drowned, he saw it with his own eyes. They left his dad behind somewhere in France, and then his mother was missing, and then that's just about it. That's it. Seriously, that's it. And then he's here in Britain, in this safe little place where he found lots of new friends and some bullies, but overall, life is awesome for him, and life is going great for him too. And then there was this news headline where there was announced that the British will close their gates towards more refugee kids, starting like in about a week. And with that, our quad squad, I suppose you could call it this time, will decide to go ahead and try to keep the gate open, or at least go ahead and try to find Ahmet's mom and dad before the gate closes. These are little minds, so they definitely do not know how complicated it is to find someone in this entire barren earth. But regardless, that's what they get. And as a result of that, they finally decide to go on drastic measures. They skip school, somehow, and then they go ahead and go to the subway station. They have a little money, and they get enough money to buy 4 tickets, one-way tickets, because that's all they can afford, towards Buckingham Palace. And side note, there's a little of humor in this. You always have to remember that these are little kids, and they do little kid stuff, and then they go ahead and spell Buckingham Palace like Buckingham Palace, like something like this, and then they have to go ahead and ask strangers to go ahead and correct their spelling for them until it's literally correct. They go on that trip to Buckingham Palace, and afterwards they go ahead, and once they arrive, they have this cab guy who goes ahead and he's all like, "Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. So where do you want to go? Buckingham Palace, please. You kids by yourselves? Oh, we were on a school field trip, and then we got lost on our way, and we're trying to go back to Buckingham Palace because that's where they are." They're all like, "Okay," and he goes there like, "The ride's free, guys. Get off." So yeah, they go ahead and personally meet the Queen's guards during the changing of their ceremonies, the changing of the flag, or the changing of the guard, that kind of ceremony. And so the guards are like, "Okay, we'll make sure Her Majesty goes and gets all this." And they did this in front of pretty much everyone, so they were on the news. And because they were on the news, well, their parents could find them, and then they got very, very, very big international acclaim too. But that still leads to their worries. Not because of the international acclaim, but because they were able to go ahead and successfully deliver a message, allegedly, towards the Queen. Later, we do find out that they have went ahead and successfully got the message towards the Queen too. And then we have to deal with the racism. Now, this is where racism, the kind of scene, starts to go ahead and get into this book. Now, as you know, the theme of this book is refugees and how you can help them, and how small, no matter how small you are, you can help your refugees because they are just the same age as you. There are refugees at different places, different sizes, different colors of skins, and even different genders too. Not just male and females. But in the end, there's a lot you can do even at this little kid, at least a lot in this terms of a little kid. Like, you can still donate some of your money towards the kids, and then, well, that's about it. But in the end, you still have to deal with people who are scared of these refugees, mainly because they as the Americans and the Trumps, mostly Trump, says that they're going to go ahead and come here and take our jobs, that kind of thing. That's what they go ahead and are scared about. And in some cases that might be true, and some people will definitely do that, but going ahead generalizing that to pretty much every refugee, I think that's just a pretty big mistake. And because of that pretty big mistake, well, people go ahead and make pretty big turd decisions as well too. What do I mean by turd decisions? They go ahead and make things that are based on, well, your mind. You go ahead and see someone that doesn't look like you, well, then you go ahead and you're scared of them. Well, if they're an alien, sure, but they are human beings just like you. If they just look a little different, like maybe they have a deformed skull or something, first of all, ask them if they're okay. Second of all, go ahead and try to befriend them and try to understand their perspective. And if they do try to bite you, well, then go away. But I highly doubt that they will go ahead and try to bite you. This is all just in your mind. The racists and the xenophobic people, they go ahead and making these bases on absolutely no scientific evidence. It's just your mind doing these tricks towards you. And this is why we have to deal with racists. Now, on with the story. So there's this racist, apparently is the MP of the local state. His name is apparently Mr. Fry. I highly doubt that he was a real person at the time, but he could be. Who knows? He might have been a real person. He might have actually been a racist. But then again, actually calling your local prime minister a racist is a really big offense. And if he really isn't a racist, well, you could go ahead and land yourself in jail. But let's just assume Mr. Fry is fictional for now. Cannot check anyway. Mr. Fry, the fictional local district man, or whatever equivalent the British people have, he went ahead and started. He was the one who wanted to go ahead and close the gate. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty big turn move, because apparently his reasoning is we already have too many refugees in Britain, so we don't need more. Sorry, we're closing our borders to refugees. Sorry, bye-bye, have a good day. And because of this, he goes ahead and calls these kids who went to Buckingham Palace refugee terrorists. And he's all like, whoa, they're just 10-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Like, they could be like 8-year-old and 10-year-old. they're definitely not terrorists. Like, could you go ahead and make a 10-year-old a terrorist? No, he's too young to even think about what a terrorist means. I don't even think he knows what a terrorist is. But the whole point is, that's all I can do. And it's in these situations where you have to go ahead and share your story, which is what these kids did. You go ahead and you share your story so that the people who don't actually know about it, don't make up stories that are lies and make you into a bad light. Mainly because if you are put into a bad light, that's all you can get, and that's all you'll be. Your reputation is what goes ahead and precedes you. Your reputation is what goes ahead and makes you you, or at least what makes other people go ahead and see you. So if you have a good reputation and you actually are a good person, well, that's great. But if you're a good person and then you have a bad reputation because other people are making gossip and lies about you, well, then you have to tell someone, or at least tell everyone your story so that you can frame that person as a liar, and you could probably get some Boom Boom to go ahead and compensate for all of it. But then again, Boom Boom never compensates for emotional damage. Never does. Unless you're the Grinch. So in the end of the day, fun fact, Ahmed and his mom and dad are found. They are allowed permanent asylum in the UK, so they can permanently live in UK from then on. And what I hate about the book, though, is that it just ends abruptly there. There's no, like, aftermath, that kind of thing. There's no aftermath. We just get the reaction of, like, my mom and dad are coming home, yay, and then that's pretty much what it ends. That's the only criticism, and that's the only thing I have a little problem with. I do love how it goes and reminds me of my own childhood too. As a kid, I also love Tintin, which this book went ahead and reminded me of, because Tintin is apparently a pretty big thing in this book at least at the start. But then again, it kind of helped me remind me about my own childhood too. I also used to like soccer until I got like hit in the face 3 times, so I quit the game. But I still like to watch it. But at the end of the day, the boy at the back of the class, if I had to give it a rating out of like a 5 out of 5, I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of a 5. That's a lot of 5s. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Hanchin Shon. I hope to see you guys soon. And so until next time, Shihana, peace. Bye bye.